Welcome, welcome to the Breaking Chains podcast, season 2, expansion. So, episode 1, we're going to talk about the waves of life and how to navigate.
Of expansion. So what is expansion to us, to anyone when they think about expansion? What the hell, right? Because everything can expand. And so what we want to focus on in this season is expanding. We focused a lot on relationships before, but how do we expand in our relationships? How do we expand in our health and wellness? How do we expand in our career, in our purpose, and our mindset? What does that even mean? So what does it mean to you?
Well, first, when I think about expansion, I think about my journey. And there's a quote that I heard. I think it's just a general quote by whoever. But
good reference.
They pretty much say, you can't give anything that you don't have. And so often we feel like we're on this cycle of living our old habits and our old life, but we want more out of life. And we look outside into the world and it reflects back to us where we're at. And so I'm kind of at the point now where after going through the journey of what I want and where I'm at, I'd say for the first time I'm looking at myself and knowing that I have to become everything internally in order to be able to allow the world and to expand from there.
Right. So what's expansion?
All right. So sorry if I wasn't clear.
I just what is it to you?
So expansion to me is not only expanding into the life that I want, but it's expanding my being into everything that's possible.
Now define expansion without the word.
Evolution.
Okay. Yeah, so I think of expansion as growth, as growing something, getting larger than life itself, right? So when we think about expanding our family, as we have more babies, that's expansion.
Agreed.
As we journey through our gym life and having the facilities and having done this fitness and wellness journey, right? And it looked different from the beginning. We've already expanded so much in our wellness journey, starting from working out at a gym, you as a manager, me as a personal trainer since I was 19, and you to going to own gyms, and me to helping manage family and gyms. And that's all expansion. So when you get to a point where you're okay, I've kind of done a lot of things that I thought I wanted to do in life. You get to this point where you're what do I want now? And sometimes that is the hardest question to answer for yourself. Because when you rip away all the titles, all the things you think you have to do, all the obligations and the duties and the work, right? So we think we have to work so hard. We have to work for love. We have to work for money. We have to work. What is it? How is it that we grow and we live abundantly in health and wellness in life? By expanding without thinking limited, right? So it's expansion to me is lack of limitation. So without that small mindset that we might have grown up with or had previously after doing all the work, right? Where do we go and say, wow, I was never open enough. I was never expanded enough to realize I want so much more, but not material things, right? More wisdom, more love, more community, more feeling, right? So I feel the more I dive deeper into expansion internally, things grow in my life with the overwhelming feelings, right? It's so the waves. And so today's episode, episode 1, we talk about the waves that come along with all that growth. So the waves that come along with having more kids, having a bigger business, having, a marriage, a bigger house, all the things that come with all the stuff, right? Because you may think materials are expansion, but are they?
No, I don't think that materials are expansion. I think honestly, where my journey has taken me is the chase, consistently chasing
The things.
Yeah. Chasing the things, chasing a feeling, chasing this goal, chasing this deadline. And every time that I've reached that, I feel the same. And so
It's like a drug.
my expansion,
Like
I
the
know
same
can-
as in like
my-
it does less for you? Or the same as...
No, it's not that it does less for me. It just doesn't satisfy what you think it's going to. And so it's like, how many times can you do that cycle and realize that it didn't make you feel better at all? And if it was short-lived. And then you went back on the journey again. So I believe that the expansion is not necessarily the expansion outside of us, externally. How big is our house? How many cars do we have? How much money do I have? I believe that the expansion is completely internal, because once you feel that you don't need anything for you to feel fulfilled is, to me, the moment that you can have everything.
Right. So it's like, because there's also this thing where we can get into this also loop where like, I don't need anything and I'm happy, right? But you're also limiting yourself if you say that, like, I don't want anything and I'm happy.
Well,
But
there's a difference between
know,
I don't want and I don't need.
To know that no matter if you have all of this or none of it, and you could still live with joy and gratitude and feel contentness, not complacent, but contentness, meaning you're good. Right? You're good, but there's no chase.
Correct.
And I think that is like,
for example,
being able to get there.
Can you and I sit here in the present moment and enjoy completely, with no thoughts, with no wonders about what somebody thinks about what we're saying, about nothing thinking about what this gets us, nothing at all? Can we sit here completely in the present moment and feel everything going on right now? Right. I honestly believe that's what we're all searching for, is to be here right now and to appreciate everything that is here in this moment.
Yeah, and that comes with all of the waves.
Yeah.
So it's been a hell of a week. It has been crazy. Like, just things happening, car accidents. I don't know, like putting cheese, like dairy allergy. Like I said 5 times on the phone when I ordered food, I was like, please, no dairy allergy, no dairy. Obviously I get the food, there's cheese all over it, right? And so even moments like that, it's like, you just want to like explode, right? But those are all teaching moments. Like, how do you stay present in those moments? And that comes with expanding your mindset. Like, okay, things happen. Things are happening at the gym right now, completely changing our platform. There's a complaint every hour about something that's happening. How do you sit with it? Like, okay, it's happening. How does it not rile you up? So when you're on this journey, right, where big things are happening, lots of good stuff, and things are a little tumultuous. Is that the word? Tumultuous. Tumultuous.
That's close enough.
Tumultuous.
I know what you meant.
Okay. When things are a little rocky, right? So when you think about expansion, think about journeying into the ocean. Yeah. And the deeper you go in the ocean, like, it's big. Like, holy crap, I never realized how big it is. You go in there, you're journeying into the unknown. So things that are unknown are going to happen. There's going to be icebergs. There's going to be crazy waves. There's going to be crazy storms. But, like, you've always wanted to go deep into the ocean, right? So now you're here, and all the things are coming up. How do you keep sailing smoothly and calmly, even though it's a rough ride?
From a mental perspective of my thoughts about it, or kind of like my routines that I do to
Just
maintain it?
anything. Like,
I
what
think
is
that
like
I
a
think the
thing?
biggest thing that I've done is really try to expand my awareness of every moment. What that awareness is me watching my actions. There's a team member, for instance, like you said, tumultuous, crazy. We're switching our software after 13, 14 years, trying to create this brand new, incredible, all-inclusive program for our clients,
Yeah, model.
for our fitness professionals, right? Everything crazy. June 1st, it launches, and we're not ready. And then there's stressors and this and that.
So
But
how are you
I
sitting
can't-
here right now doing
I'm
this?
sitting here right now because I can't be mad at yesterday, and I can't be upset or stressed out or have anxiety about tomorrow, because that's not going to create the solutions that I need to move forward. I have lived a hectic life of always thinking that I needed to have all the answers, or my nervous system was just out of whack. It could never calm down. And so for me, knowing that the problems that were created, or the problems that need to be fixed, the solutions are not going to come from a worrisome mind. They're going to come from a calm mind that's patient and is appreciative for and have gratitude for all the hard team members working right now to get this done.
Yeah.
And the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Every time I get caught up on the moment, the small moment, or the stressors of the future, or the mistakes I could have changed in my past, it never raises my frequency.
Yeah, that's a cool point you made about like not focusing on the future or past, because you literally can't. In every book I've read, and all of the books like Joe Dispenza, Eckhart Tolle, like once you travel, just hit the mic with my chin. Once you travel into the past or into the future, that's where you're living. So if you're thinking about a past incident that happened and you're worried that it's going to happen again, your nervous system is actually living as if that's the present, because your nervous system can't tell time and space. It just goes based off of feelings.
Correct.
And energy waves, right? So you talk about consciousness, you talk about your energetic field. If you step into the past, you're thinking of a feeling.
Correct.
More than you are an actual event. So you go into that feeling, your body tenses up, fight or flight, you're living there. Same thing with the future. If you're thinking of an event that might happen that you don't want to happen, you're actually living that event out already.
Correct.
You are creating that event in your body, and you're living as if that's your future. So it might as well be.
Not only that, you're living that as your future, and you can't do anything about it right now.
Well,
because it hasn't happened
but
yet.
you're creating it. You're creating it.
Of course,
so,
but even if you are creating
right.
it, you can't do anything about
Right.
it. So you're recreating something that you actually can't act on.
So this brings up something as well in patterns, right? Because we like to talk about patterns and mindset. And if we are constantly thinking about things that can go wrong, a lot of times that comes from a parent, right? A parent constantly telling us, don't do this, this is going to happen. Or if you do this, like I'm sure you can relate, with things that can go wrong. With having parents telling you. I've gotten yelled at my whole life. I've been losing it a little lately. And I noticed something about me and my children. So children are the greatest teachers in the world. And I've noticed one of my best friends was over, and she was having me over. She was hanging out with me and my kids. And she said to me how shocked she was by how quickly I lose it on my kids. And Tori's been my friend since I was in 7th grade. So she knows me pretty well, probably better than any of my other friends, just like the real authentic me. And she said to me, like, you're pretty chill. I'm not pretty chill as in like, what is the personality that just chills and like doesn't say anything? I'm not that, but I'm not very highly like all over people. I'm kind of like in my own world. And so when she said that, I really wondered, like, why do I lose it on my kids more than anything? Like, I just react especially when they hurt themselves, instead of being like a nurturing, caring, attentive, compassionate mother, like, oh, what can I do for you? I'm like, what? Why the hell did you do that? Yeah. I yell at them when they hurt themselves. Like, are you dumb? Like, I told you not to climb that. I told you not to ride your bike without your helmet. I told you not to speed down. Oh, you get what you get. And so like, that's a pattern, but it's also me living in the past of what I told them, what they should have done. And so that's something that I could be more present with. They did something, I could use it as a teaching moment and say, well, this is something that happens when we don't, instead of losing it and flipping out, right? So like, everything is coming up this week, but one of the things, the reason why I share that is one of the wave things that I'm noticing, that where do I go? Like a methodology for trekking forward in the journey of expansion instead of backstepping is literally to watch yourself, right? I'm only able to share what I have been doing because I've been watching it now. I've been paying more attention to it. I'm not beating myself up. I'm this terrible mother that yells at my kids when they hurt themselves. But I'm like, damn, that's not a good habit. So becoming, like you said, more aware of my actions in order to use them as teachers for the next moment.
Correct.
Is a huge way to advance forward in expansion.
And it's almost like,
and grow.
It's almost like compassionate awareness, because you can also be aware of what you're doing and then beat yourself up. Like, why did I do that? Instead, I look at everything as like, I told you, like lessons and blessings. There's two things. There's lessons and there's blessings. Every time I'm triggered by something, my awareness kicks in and I'm looking at that and saying, why am I triggered by that? And I look at myself and I say, what about me is allowing this external event to trigger me? And so when I think about the waves, if you can start to use the waves
the ups
as
and the downs.
The ups and the downs, no matter where you're at the top here and you're at the bottom here. If you can use that whole wave every moment to learn, you no longer are trying to protect yourself from life.
Right.
You're allowing life to happen. And as life happens, you're expanding and evolving and becoming the best version of yourself.
How I view a wave and what I'm feeling, it's like I'm a very visual person. Everything that's happening is like a movie in my on my screen inside. I don't know if anybody else thinks like that, but I'm constantly like when I'm telling a story, I'm visualizing the story. Like, does everyone do that? It's like, you see this. So like, as we talk about waves, I'm actually seeing a wave, right? Yeah. Okay. So when you take a look at the wave, I just want to I know all of our brains are different. So some people see colors when you talk about numbers.
Than you think.
Right. So when you see a wave and you think about those points and you're feeling a high, and that awareness comes in as feeling that, this is like amazing. This is an amazing feeling. Recognizing you're there, and this is my method. I giggle at realizing like, this is a high point. This is amazing. Ooh, I got shivers, like this is amazing. And then when I'm really low and I'm crying, and I for some reason, I feel so much more grateful now to cry. Well, I'm pregnant and I'm super emotional, so I'm crying a lot more than ever. I just naturally don't cry a lot. So when I'm crying, I'm like, let me cry a lot because this feels kind of cathartic. And when I'm crying and things are sad, I'm there and I'm like, ooh, I'm crying. It's another feeling I'm feeling. And life is all about feeling those feelings. So when I'm there too, when I'm on that low point, I giggle too sometimes. Like, it's like I'm there and I'm crying. And I'm like, this is another part of life. And it's easy to get caught up in thinking when you're that low, I'm going to be stuck here forever. But how come when we're that high, we don't realize that we could stay just as joyful, right? We always, when we fall down here, we think and we go down, down, down. I talked about, I was having a low point this weekend, and I was like, I feel like I'm spiraling down. And it is so easy when you're down there, right? So it's just like a learning moment when you are down there to just give yourself a pep talk and be like, this is cool too. This is a feeling.
What about the thought and the appreciation actually and the gratitude that you could only experience that you're feeling good right now because at another moment you're not feeling good.
The polar opposite.
You need
the
both
polarity
in order to experience. Like there is no top of the wave if there's no bottom. Right. So if you can appreciate the fact that, man, right now I'm not feeling good.
Yeah.
And then imagine the appreciation for when that cloud passes. All of a sudden you feel good again. You're like, wow, I'm feeling great.
Yeah.
That is what's got to connect the dots. Right. It's non-biased awareness, no matter where you're at, the top or the bottom, because you need both to experience.
Yeah. I was listening to a song yesterday, and it just popped up as a random song, but it said, "There's no life and there's no death. It's all just," I want to say breath, but that was not the lyrics. It just
energy.
Rhymed. But right, it all just is.
It all is.
And so even when you talk about that and you think about life and death, and you think about how joyful we are when there's a new life, when there's birth, so exciting. And then when somebody dies, it's like sad. But could we be so excited for life if we didn't have the grieving and the mourning and the sadness for a loss of life in this form, right? So when we enter this spaceship, it's exciting. And when we leave it, it's sad because it's not over for your soul journey, but it's over for this body's journey, right? So there is that polarity from birth to death. And I just wanted to hit on one more thing that I wanted you to talk about, because you've had a lot more time than me in the mornings to do this, to stay a little more present.
I got to do what I got to do.
Nice little 2-hour meditation, never hurt nobody. How is funny, when we started dating, I was the meditator. I was like, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to. He's like, I can't sit still for 5 minutes, my brain. And I'm like, no, but like, it's the best thing ever. Try meditating. And you started with 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Now you sit for an hour every morning. How has that helped you on your journey of expansion?
It's been priceless. I can't say all of the value that is brought to my life, but quite honestly, meditation for me has allowed me to kind of hack into my system, if you will, to better understand the mind and who we are and all the pain and suffering that we go through. It is a tumultuous journey, and it's one that we all have to undergo if we do want to expand ourselves. And I think that truth, everybody has to feel and want to understand what more they can have for their life. So when it comes to the meditation, if you think about it, you're talking about the waves that you were just speaking about. It's not even necessarily the wave that you're upset with at the high or the bottom. You're upset about the thoughts about where you're at. It's not even about where you're at. It's about the thoughts.
The story.
It's the story about where you think you're at because you feel like you don't want to be there. And in combination with your conditioning as a kid, as your traumas as a kid, your environment as a kid, society as a kid, we've been taught all these things and we're trying to find our way. Like, who am I? And meditation allows you to go into the kind of the unknown, to discover who you really are.
The deep, vast ocean.
The infinite potential of who you are. Yeah. So meditation in my life, I can't speak for everybody's experience, but for my life has been vital and key. I do it on a daily basis. And now meditation for me is is peace.
Yeah.
It's a level of peace.
So whether you want to talk about science or spirituality here, when you think about everything, when you think about the Big Bang or God creating the earth or an atomic bomb or something from nothing, right? Atoms, molecules. So we can go into astrophysics. We could go into, what is the other physics? Quantum physics. Quantum physics.
Powerful.
You think about all of this. So whether you want to go, like I said, science or spirituality, where does it all come from? It comes from nothing. Nothingness. You could put a name to nothingness. You could put a name such as God, Allah, science, Big Bang.
Vital energy, universe.
You could put a name to it, but when you think of it as nothingness and you go into meditation and you melt into the nothingness, and a lot of teachers, spiritual teachers are, like Joe Dispenza, I'm going to always bring him up because he's great because he really merges the two so beautifully and digestibly. An easy way to digest. I've just been making words today. He makes it so beautiful because he tells you to go into nothingness, go there, and reach for what you want and come back, right? But you have to, if you want to create the future that you want, first you have to know what you want, which is the hardest thing to do. Because once you let go, as in the beginning, all the things we've been primed and programmed and conditioned to thinking we want and thinking we have to do, such as, I have to slave. You know this life so well. You feel like you have to do it all yourself. Do it. I have to work so hard to get what I want. I have to grind. I have to stay up all night. I have to do all this to get what I want. But that's because you think that, and then that becomes your reality. So how do we expand so infinitely by going in? It's through meditation.
I think it's
by going to nothingness.
I think it's a combination of meditation and wisdom. Meditation is a journey, and it's not a convenient one. The wisdom is what keeps you on track.
Right.
Understanding certain things, like the illusion of the thoughts.
Where do you get wisdom?
Wisdom for me was through sages, gurus.
Your journey.
Life itself, but sometimes the wisdom, yes. Wisdom is honestly, it's knowledge with experience. Right?
Yes.
Knowledge experienced is wisdom.
And
So
you'll only get
that.
wisdom if you're seeking it. If you are asking for wisdom.
Agreed. But sometimes you're so close, and that wisdom kicks in when most needed.
Yeah.
For you to stay on your path, because there's moments when you want to give up on this road to discovering yourself. It's a daunting journey, and one that you do feel alone. That's why it's important to be able to do it in a supportive community.
Right. But if you really are seeking wisdom, that you said this to me the other day, it's like not everyone's made for this. Like, not in the sense that I'm special and nobody else can do this, but you have to really want it. Yeah. Something inside of you, there has to be this little click inside of you that's like, I want it. I know how hard it gets hard, but that click in me never turns off about, even when it's really hard, I'm like, I really want growth. This is really hard right now, but I promise, God, I want to grow. I want wisdom. I know this is giving me wisdom. It's really hard. I'm going to cry through it, but I want to grow. So they're giving up, yes.
Yeah.
But I think it's that constantly asking and wanting more that keeps you on.
I think it's a knowing, it's an underlying knowing that you will never find never
from the outside.
You will never find anything that's going to fulfill you outside of you.
Yes, that's big.
That's the only thing that you need to know. And if you can understand that and you want your life to expand, then you need to walk this journey.
Yeah.
And this is why I say wisdom, because nobody can do the work for you.
Yeah. And you did touch on something that's really important too, which is community. Meditation, prayer kind of go hand in hand. That's one big thing, huge in terms of expansion, in terms of expanding your mind, in terms of expanding what you want, what you want in life, your purpose. It's like going in, really honing in. But if we're talking on the outside of us, routine and consistency, like meditating every day. It's not just about jumping into a meditation or going on an ayahuasca trip. I'm getting like weird. Like now they're like promoting, what are those called? Sponsored ads about like ayahuasca trips. And I'm like, oh, they do this. I guess it's legal. I don't know. So it's not about going on a trip. It's not about doing something once, exercising once. It's about doing it daily. Routine and consistency. Huge.
Routine and consistency.
And then community. Surrounding yourself with people that also want to expand. I wrote something down. I said, stagnation equals death to growth. You are not going to expand if you're staying in the same spot. My grandma always said to me, show me who your friends, I'll tell you who you are. And if you're surrounded by people that do not want to grow, that do not want to expand, it's not going to happen for you.
So pretty much to sum up everything we've talked about today, very hard to do in a podcast, and we'll obviously go to a second one. We would recommend having a routine. Maybe a routine that encompasses meditation, maybe reading, watching some videos,
books,
for wisdom,
podcasts,
things that you look. Managing your thoughts, watching your thoughts, becoming aware of your thoughts, become aware of your actions, right? And have compassion for yourself along this journey. Not the easiest of journeys, but one you must undertake, and you must undertake it alone. Only you can go inside yourself.
But surround yourself.
Surround yourself with people who can support you and who can understand you. And quite honestly, who can love you.
Yeah. Through it all. It's not easy.
Through it all. Thank you guys tonight for sharing with us. And I'm looking forward to episode 2.
Thank you.